So this arrives for me on Twitter and immediately starts pushing buttons. Hyperloop TT, that's the one that built their 1 kilometer test rig outside in Las Vegas, just outside Las Vegas. And the ones who I think have almost $500 million in investment to do something in India. Anyway, they're now talking about how they want to build one between Chicago and Pittsburgh. They spent $1 million on the survey and found it'll cost about $25 billion. So other interesting things in here. It's about 500 miles long. We'll stick with miles for this video. So that would be shorter than Elon Musk's sort of original proposed Hyperloop from, what was it, LA to San Francisco. And it won't go anywhere near as fast. It's not going to do the 700 miles per hour. It's only going to do about 400 miles per hour, which is not far off what regular trains, well, high-speed trains can do at the moment. And $25 billion. So on one slide, they quote the price as $40 for a one-way ticket from Cleveland to Chicago. But others reckon it's going to be almost the price of the airfare, 2/3 the cost of the airfare. Now, even this is probably a massive underestimate of what this thing would cost. So they spent $1.5 million, well, $1 million to work all this out, to go from Chicago to Pittsburgh. And the reason it's probably a massive underestimate, I mean, let's first of all remind ourselves of what Elon Musk originally proposed that his Hyperloop from LA to San Francisco would cost. He thought it would cost $6 to $7 billion, which is about 1/10 of the reckoning of what the high-speed rail would cost. Which is just straight up delusional. I mean, it's based on entirely cloud cuckoo land numbers. So, yeah, I mean, let's just do a ballpark figure. They want this to run between, whatever, Chicago and Pittsburgh. Well, population of Chicago is about 3 million. Yeah, it's a big place, is Chicago. So if we were to just divvy up that 25 billion between the inhabitants of Chicago alone, well, if we charged each one of them $1,000, that would raise $2.7 billion. And if we charged each one of them $10,000, then that would that would just about pay for the cost of the Hyperloop to Pittsburgh, which has a population of 1/3 So every man, woman, and child in Chicago would have to pay $10,000 for this, which, let's be real, it's never going to happen. But yeah, why is 25 billion still probably a massive underestimate? Well, let's go on the first thing. No one has ever built a Hyperloop that even comes remotely close to delivering what it promises. You know, this 1,000 kilometer hour, 700 mile per hour travel, and it'll be completely seamless and everything will work. No one has even got a decent grip on how to make these things big. Well, let's compare that to just making a regular railway and how much of a pain in the ass that can be. And not a lot of you would know this, but England is currently, or the UK, is currently making something called HS2, High Speed Rail 2. So England had a lot of railways going back to the Victorian age. And the problem is they were never really modernised. In fact, this is almost the perfect view of Britain, that you have the canals, which is what was the heavy transport before the railways, and it's all just sort of built up layer on layer in the UK. So there was never any dedicated high-speed rail lines built in the UK. So these are the first decent rail lines that the UK has built in, I don't know, 100 years. With the exception, there's one exception, and that was the connecting line from the Channel Tunnel to London. Right, other than that, no railways built in the UK for like 100 years or something. So they've basically lost all the expertise to do it. And yeah, so they're now going to build a high-speed rail line, and the cost could rise by 30 billion, right? And that's just the rise in the project. Yeah. Department of Transport says the high-speed line cannot be delivered for its 56 billion budget. And so they're talking about almost doubling the price again. And there's all sorts of debates whether this is worth it. So all it's going to do is, I don't know how far this is. Couple of 100 miles, maybe. Yeah, with hopes to sort of extend it up further, but just the first bit is going to cost an absolute fortune. Can you tell us how long it's going to be? Anyway, so there's all sorts of debate about, this is going to be somewhat faster. Well, I mean, I guess it's almost twice as fast as the sort of existing trains, but when you think about it, is that really worth so much? Given that trains stop on a sort of semi-regular basis, I think the reckoning is it's only going to be sort of half an hour. I know what this takes. This is like 2 hours or something. Maybe not even that on the current high-speed trains. And you're shaving something like 20 to 40 minutes off that. And it's like, is that really worth it? So there's lots of, not a popular project, this one. So the idea that people are going to build a Hyperloop, which no one has really ever done, 25 billion is a massively optimistic number. And actually, just for fun, I'm not sure if can I go down and see the comments on this? Because some of the comments are kind of fun, so you get some people who are positive. Ain't gonna work. Where did you get your engineering degree from? People said the same thing to Goddard. He was the guy who built rockets. The irony, of course, being is that rocket technology is largely the same now as it was then. Same with the internal combustion engine. There's a load of these things that are sort of, they're thermodynamically limited by whatever the fuel you're burning or whatever. There are still people who want to go to Cleveland. Yeah, by the time you spend this sort of cash. I mean, I did do the number, right? Numbers. If you wanted to ship all of, if you wanted to pay for this, for the Hyperloop, this 25 billion, assuming that there are no running costs to the Hyperloop whatsoever, if you just wanted to take that down payment, you would have to shift the entire population of Chicago at $40 per ticket, the absolute low end. You'd have to move them back and forth down the Hyperloop about 200 times just to actually pay for the infrastructure costs. Yeah. So I can't but help feel that this really is Theranos before it hit the wall. At some point, someone's going to invest tens of $billions into this, and it's just going to evaporate. And all that's going to be left afterwards is like some crappy test track somewhere with the rest being auctioned off for scrap. The one nice thing actually is, remember the other day I made that video about this climate panel that I was watching, and they had the young optimistic girl, or the young girl who was really into fighting for climate change or fighting against climate change, depending how you look at it. The one thing that was nice is she talked to loads of politicians and the such like, and some of them were just these dewy-eyed, don't worry, the Hyperloop will solve all of our problems. And she sort of called bullshit on them straight away. Even if the Hyperloop works, which it won't, but whatever, even if it works, you're looking at, it would be a solution 20 years down the line. So that was one nice thing that hopefully people are starting to wake up and smell the bullshit on this. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you next time.